Freaking A. All right, welcome to the Hands On Podcast.
You might have to talk louder, Jim. You've been very soft-spoken today.
Because I was on the Knock On podcast, and I have to be polite, and I have to make sure I don't swear. Because the last time...
You're actually allowed to swear on my podcast. I'm not on BBS.
No, you didn't you pull down the one that we did in the hotel in Indianapolis?
What?
I thought you pulled it. I think Sharon did, because she was embarrassed because you talked about stabbing a guy.
I hope I left that one out.
It might have just went down briefly. Wow, she edited it out, every piece of it.
That better not have went down.
The only archery stuff we had, we talked about, and then we weren't recording.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So this podcast is being recorded on, what are we on, Route 1 or something like that?
We're actually on
Highway 1?
Highway 97, and we'll connect into Highway
1.
Venturing into Vancouver for a close to midnight sushi run, if we can find a sushi restaurant. Otherwise, we're gonna destroy that United Executive Lounge buffet. I'm gonna smash some granola and berries and crappy fake chicken cappuccino.
Yeah, we'll find some sushi. But yeah, we're coming back from a black bear hunt. Where were we? North of
God only knows.
Yeah. Bumble?
There was a cool little place called something like that. But no, we went to Williams Lake, and then we drove about another hour and 45 minutes up into the hills. I think the highest we were hunting was a little over 6,000 feet, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Or was it 4?
It was 4.
Oh, 4,000. Slightly off.
Slightly off. It was probably 31,000, I think. Something like that. But yeah, we had a good week. Some successes, some failures.
Such is life, Jim Miller.
Such is life. And by failures, I mean I failed. And then I got ribbed for days until I yelled at a bear. And then I got ribbed for that.
Yeah. If you're sneaking around and you finally see a bear after a few days of not seeing one, and you yell, "Bear! Bear!" like that, and like your windows are down.
The window was totally down.
And both of your guides are like, "Yeah, he heard us."
Probably shouldn't yell at him. He was a little guy. I mean, at that point, he probably was a shooter, but...
you were selective. I was proud of you.
I was selective.
You literally went out the first night. I was jealous. You went out and had two opportunities at a giant.
Yeah.
Literally, you could have been tagged out before we technically even were supposed to start hunting.
Yeah.
Because the next day was our first full day.
Yeah.
And you could have already tagged.
Yeah.
But that's life.
This is life.
That's how it goes. You get kicked off that horse, you gotta get back on. That's what you gotta do, Jim Miller, for UFC 213.
Yeah.
Time to get back on that bitch and ride it. See that swear word I threw out? I don't even swear for Joe Rogan.
Yeah. I can swear now. Shit. Fuck. Balls.
Yeah, we can go full-blown Tourette's, bitch.
I didn't even properly introduce you, did I?
Well, there's no point.
Yeah.
I'm not proper.
So, for those that don't know, I'm sitting in a sweet Volvo XC60, right, with John Dudley himself, archery coach to the stars.
Yeah, I shoot archery people.
Yeah.
They're probably like, who the hell is that?
Yeah. What?
He is like...
We talk about you a lot on the podcast here. The Hands On Podcast is about, we live the martial arts lifestyle, very disciplined. Not Talk about MMA, and then we talk about pretty much everything else that's ridiculous, stupid, and stuff we do.
If you would have
So
introduced me as your nunchuck coach,
My nunchuck coach?
would people have thought, oh, that's
my
cool.
pork chop coach?
I want a pork chop so bad, but I know what's coming if I do. Actually, I tried to give Jim a titty twister, and he totally pulled a wax on move. Like, I went in for a nipple pinch, and I'm like, was that freaking wax on? You're like, yeah. Full blown wax on. Mr. Miyagi would have been so proud of that. Should have doubled up with a crane kick that fooled your ass. Actually, if you did the crane nipple pinch,
Yeah, that'd be sneaky.
fake with the leg, but go in high. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, so we had a good week. You slayed one.
Slade sounds brutal.
It does sound brutal. I'd say it was the most efficient
Yes.
archery kill that I've ever seen.
I ethically exercised
Yeah.
my ability to abide
Yeah.
the rules and regulations
Yeah.
set forth by the hunting brotherhood
And
of
sisterhood.
commissions
Of the traveling pants.
of the traveling Peter Pans.
Like for anyone that doubts, like, oh, because we've talked about it on our show before about like the ethics and how sometimes there's infighting in hunting,
Yeah,
and how
unfortunately.
Rifle hunters say, well, archery, you're wounding stuff, blah blah blah, and then archery hunters are like, well, you guys are using too much technology and you're shooting things from 300 yards away, and then even in archery there's infighting. There's, oh, well, you're shooting a crossbow, or you're shooting the compound guys give the traditional guys crap because they end up wounding more game, and then the traditional guys give the compound guys crap because, oh, well, you got wheels on your bow and all this stuff, and it's all just, it pisses me off, to be perfectly blunt about it. But
I've spent more time listening to complaints about that from you right now than I have ever in my own. Yeah, I just want everyone to, whether you like hunting or dislike hunting, if you dislike it, then don't look at it.
Yeah.
If I don't like gun hunting, I don't look at gun hunting type things. I don't like to look through a gun hunting magazine. I like archery and try to be as efficient as I can at it, and I know people that the only way they get out and enjoy the outdoors is if they have a crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, my buddy Chad, Chad Ward?
Yep. Chad's
a big guy. He's a barbecue pit master, and the reality is Chad really, he's has this like drive to experience hunting in the outdoors because he went on. Did he do 2 with us or 1? I can't remember. 1 hunt with us. He was there for a few days.
Yeah.
But he just couldn't believe how passionate people were about their food when they're the ones that actually harvested it. And he's like one of the most well-known pit masters there is. And he's just like, man, my life is food. My life is on a grill. And I just appreciate how much you guys are passionate about prepping your game, cleaning your game, coming up with like, what's my new recipe? What kind of recipe can I figure out to cook a wild hog front shoulder? Whereas, they've kind of just got their cookie cutter go-tos, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out what's the best way to have something that we've never prepared for before. And Chad is a big dude. I don't know if I'm going to guess his weight, but I want him to get into hunting, and I kind of said, hey dude, if you ever want to do it, let me know. He's like, my travel schedule and everything, I just don't know if I have the time to really feel good about going out and hunting with a bow.
Yeah.
And he said, but I know that I don't want to use a gun because I really like the archery side. He said, I think I would like to try a crossbow because I feel like I could be good enough to be ethical with it without having to like have a major commitment. And I actually got him one. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to him in 2 weeks. I'm gonna give it to him. He's gonna be coming to Iowa, and I'm gonna give him that crossbow and just teach him how to shoot it and sight it in for him. And then him and I are doing a cookout at Yeti at the flagship store for a bunch of people that want to learn archery for the first time. And I'm gonna have Chad go on a little hog hunt with me. So hey, more power to him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no room to hate.
No,
we're all outdoorsmen.
not. Exactly. And like my father can't pull back a bow anymore. Like, he's strong enough to do it. His shoulder's not strong enough to do it. I mean, he's got nothing left in his left shoulder. And then my wife, actually, I got her a bow a year and a half ago, and she's pretty good after 30 yards with it. We were just kind of working on her getting comfortable with it, but she's got a bad right shoulder, and then she just dislocated it a couple weeks ago trying to throw a water balloon at me.
I saw your pile of water balloons.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
So I was very impressed. I sunk that thing back in for her right there on the spot, and
Jesus.
2 days later she ran a half marathon. So,
jeez.
Yeah.
Put her in the ring.
Seriously. But yeah, she shot my crossbow before, and she's actually a better shot than I am with it.
Which the bear is thankful for.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
She did outshoot Pat and I. So.
Jeez. Well, that's awesome. I like to hear it.
So. But yeah, like I never got any of the infighting. I don't understand it. Because it's like, it comes down to...
What about the infighting within UFC?
Well, again, that's all just... It's all bickering, man.
I heard BJ Penn called you a punk-ass bitch-ho.
I doubt BJ Penn called.
That's how easy it starts, though.
Yeah. Do it.
People say, "Did you hear what he said?"
Did you hear what he said? No. He said something on Twitter and then he deleted it. What? Okay. Or this guy said that he wants to fight you and said you were turning the fight down.
What's cool about MMA is it's not like school talk back when you were in the cafeteria and someone said, "Yeah, I want to fight you." And like, if someone says it to you, you can be like, "Really? When? Like when? Let's make some money."
Yeah.
Let's freaking make it rain.
Like I never understood all the squabbling, because it's we get the opportunity. We get the opportunity to step inside the octagon with each other. Like,
most of the fighters I've met have actually been way more cordial than the average dickhead that you bounce into at a bar at night, because you guys get to get it all out.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, I always really enjoy relieving my stress, like on like one of my long mountain bike rides, or love, if I'm ever feeling tense and half pissed off, I'll throw a kettlebell around a bit, and I feel like I can get it out. Surely with you, it's the same way. You're like, man, I'm burned out. I don't want to hit another guy in the face tonight.
It's not worth it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I make Conor McGregor money, but I make too much money fighting people to not make anybody money fighting someone.
Yeah, the other night when I'm like, let's go, freaking Jim,
I backed out. Yeah.
You're like,
yeah,
listen, put it on the contact Dana.
Yeah,
let's get this in the ring.
Or even in the gym. I got a cage at the gym. I told you, one leg kick shot me right now.
don't know if I want to
Big
experience
tipper
that.
fall hard.
Yeah. At least teach me a defense for that first.
No.
I mean, if you're gonna give me a shot, at least let me protect myself. I normally just wear soccer shin guards every day. Whenever I hang out with my UFC friends.
You still got to use the shin guard, though. The whole idea is to not hit shin to shin.
Well, tell me, what is it? Pretend that everyone listening to the Handsome Brothers podcast.
The Handsome podcast?
The Handsome podcast. Pretend they don't know. I mean, that's what I have to do when I'm having a podcast for my archery followers. There's always the people on there like, let me guess, dude, you're going to talk about how to tie a knock point on and redo a D-loop. Yeah, I might talk about that because there's a lot of people that have never freaking heard of it. As much as I talk about it, there's also 20 questions a day coming in that go right back to the basics. Hey, I love archery. I just started shooting archery for the first time. I want to start to learn to do my own stuff. So let's go to that. Let's pretend you're riding around in a car with a guy that just shoots people and shoots stuff and stabs people for a living like me. But I don't know how to leg kick. What is the technique, Jim Miller?
To leg kick someone, it's all about balance, you know. And like a leg kick is harder on the kicker than throwing a high kick, like a body kick or a head kick, because when you throw a leg kick, you're catching your own weight. Like you're actually trying to like squat down and basically do a one-legged squat as you do it. Where a higher kick, you throw it and you kind of let the weight of your leg pull you through.
Yeah, so it's inertia. If you're throwing a high kick, you've got the momentum of your leg.
So leg kickers usually gas out quicker than high kickers. Like if you're throwing a lot of volume of low kicks, it's more tiring than throwing like.
Because you're having to engage your off leg.
Yeah, because you're
having to go into more like a squat.
Yes, exactly. I like to hop into them. Like when I throw it, I kind of like jump into it because it takes my head off of line, and that's one of the biggest things. I myself will eat a leg kick in order to punch somebody in the face. So when throwing a leg kick, you have to prepare the person that you're kicking is going to be trying to punch you at the same time. And
because you know your balance is going back?
Yeah, and it's just, that's weird, you know. Like, when you're throwing a leg kick, a lot of times hands come down. You know, opposite hand should be up, but it does come down. So, people are usually vulnerable to get punched if their head is on line. So, I like to hop into it because it carries me out and it carries my weight through. And really, like, that type of stuff, like whether it's taking a kick to the legs or it's actually doing it, it all comes down to conditioning and repetition. Like, there's no way to just tell somebody, okay, well, somebody's going to kick you in the leg. I mean, you can teach somebody to check, but knowing what it looks like when somebody's trying to throw a kick and knowing to throw your check up is a totally different thing. And then absorbing a leg kick, there's no special technique to taking a shot to the side of the thigh. It comes through kind of just beating it and doing the work. And weirdly enough, it's one of my favorite things to do, is to do leg conditioning.
Well,
it's kind of an endorphin rush.
Listen, all I can tell you is your last fight, it was actually the first fight that I've ever watched where, you know, I really wholeheartedly like cared for the guy that was fighting. So, I mean, I felt like I was hurting watching the freaking leg kicks you were dishing out, dude. And I knew that, I knew that you had to have been hurting because you could see it, but obviously your heart was like pulling you through. And but I also wish you could be watching yourself to where I think you were one more leg kick away from ending that sucker, man. God, that one more leg kick and that tree was coming down, because I think he was almost broken at that point.
He was.
So what do you like when you throw that leg kick? Where are you wanting? What part of your are you trying to land the top of your foot?
No, you don't want to kick with your foot. Not when you're kicking low. I mean, you'd ideally hit with your shin wherever you're kicking.
You want to hit with your shin. Is there a certain part so that it doesn't snap in half? Like, is it stronger at the top than it is at the bottom of your shin? Or?
It is. Yeah, it is. Your bone is a little bit wider at the top.
Yeah.
So, but it's kind of like one of those trade-offs. Like, you want to hit with the sweet spot, which is a little bit like centered to a little bit low, like towards the foot, but you're going to have a heavier kick, and it's going to be easier to absorb if you hit a knee or something like that, if you hit a little bit higher, closer to your own knee.
And ideally, where are you trying to land?
Where are you trying to land on the other person?
Yeah. Like, talk through the basics, dude. Jesus.
Well, the low kick,
like I know what you're talking about.
The low kick is one of those things where it's like, it's kind of a stupid technique. Like, hey, this is going to hurt us both.
Yeah, it looks like you're just kicking the dog shit out of each other's shins.
Yeah, well, that's basically what it is.
Would you rather land on the side of the calf, though? So you're literally Charlie horsing that calf so bad that you can't put weight on it?
Well, the better spots to land are going to be like just above the knee, or just below the hip. That's where the nerve that runs along the outside of your thigh.
Yeah, because your IT band runs and connects there, correct?
Yes.
So and your sciatic runs down the outside?
Yeah. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to hit that nerve, and if you bury it, that leg goes numb and the person can't stand. And that's what you're aiming for in most cases. The low one is really just to kind of disrupt somebody. Like, I use it a lot as
like a distance.
It's like a something to just knock my opponent like off of their rhythm.
Yeah.
Particularly when I go against righties, I throw the inside calf kick a lot, because you're hitting more meat on the inside than you are on the outside, like I was in the last one. But you're hitting more meat, and it's just an easier target. Blows the hip out, so guys, they don't like that. So then they're hesitant about stepping in. But yeah, going like lefty, righty, and throwing the low outside kick is just, you're gonna hit shin. It's gonna be shin on shin, and it's kind of one of those things like,
you better train on some bamboo.
Is my shin tougher than your shin? And kind of the way I've always looked at it is like, if I'm in control of the pain, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're both hurting, but I'm the one doing it. But it's one of those things too. Is like, I didn't start.
Is it more of a factor of you getting used to the pain that you feel when you go bone on bone, and you're just like, okay, I know this hurts like a bitch, but it goes away? Or can you strengthen that just by continually doing it?
You can strengthen
callus the bone almost.
Yeah. You end up hardening the bone a little bit by kicking things and by hitting things, and that's kind of the way bones seem to work.
Yeah.
It's Wolf's Law, and they get tougher when, like, through shock. So
bitch.
You look at like these TIE fighters, and they've been kicking tires and stuff like that since they were little kids, and their shins are like way harder than mine. Unfortunately, I didn't start like learning how to kick until into my MMA career, basically.
A buddy of mine that does, I don't know if have I ever talked about Lester around you?
The guy that worked on you?
Yeah. Lester does. Well, you watched it.
Yeah.
He's a little freaking muscle ninja.
Yeah.
He's from down in Tulsa. If you're ever in need of someone who truly knows body repair, he was. Did he talk to you about his background? he fought Muay Thai for a long time, and I think he said he was like a 2-time world champion or something. And he told me about all this stuff he had to do when he trained over in Asia. And I mean, I think I can't remember if he kicked showed me something where he kicked 2 baseball bats in half or something. Two Louisville Sluggers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous to even think about. But he just said that when you start to do it, once you do one, then all of a sudden they kind of build this through your head to where you don't have the doubt. You just know I'm breaking through that or it's going to break me. Yeah. So you kind of have to go one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Forgot what he told me his coach had told him, but it's almost a barbaric mentality.
You get to the point where, like, when you're in the fight, when you're doing something like that, you know it's gonna hurt, and you accept it. And for some people,
what's the pain like? If you were to describe it,
it's kind of like just a sharp, like it. I don't know.
Like you got whipped with something, really?
No, it's not. It's not necessarily
you ever been whipped with a car antenna.
No, but I've been whipped with like one of those like plastic jump ropes. I've been whipped with a few things.
I'm talking something hard with a metal ball in the end.
No, yeah, I've never been.
I came out of a bar one time and a guy took a full-blown car antenna, like a truck antenna, across the back of my legs as hard as he could. Dude, I like, it instantly made me so freaking mad.
Yeah.
It stung and burned, and it hurt like a son of a bitch. I felt back there, and the welt was so big. I mean, I just went into spaz out mode. He thought it'd be funny, but no. It really wasn't funny.
Cool.
So I didn't know if it would.
It's different pain
because there's impact.
Because it's not like that's like skin and flesh pain, and that particularly that area was like back of the thigh, lower ass cheek.
Yeah, that's right. Where it went. That kind of got some lower ass to back of the knee on the other side.
I mean that's a sensitive area to get fucking swatted or fucking whipped or something like that. But there's not much meat, and on the shin and
unless you're tucking like Silence of the Lambs style.
Yeah.
Get that meat back there.
Yeah.
Like a goat. Don't tuck the nuts back there though. You want to just put the meat back there.
I was talking about the shin. I don't know where
Well, you said there's not much meat back there. I was trying to think
down there.
I was thinking defense.
Yeah, that would suck. Yeah, you're pulling a mangina and get whipped with a car antenna in the head of your dick.
I like doing your podcast better.
That would suck.
I can just pull all kinds of nonsense out of the air.
But no, the shin, it's like it hurts. But it's like kicking so we have a rice bag at the gym, and it hurts. It hurts to kick, like it hurts your bone.
So do you have like a big sack of rice?
Yeah, it's a heavy bag. And
so it'll bend a little bit, but it
doesn't bend that much. It barely gives a little bit.
It indents.
It's heavy, and like regular heavy bags are usually filled with just like clothes scraps and stuff like that. So the rice is denser, and it just that like you go to kick it, and it's not going to feel good, and that's the idea. Is you're conditioning yourself and
mentally too.
Yeah, mentally, and like you were saying we've been talking on podcasts for the last like 3 hours.
Yeah. We are on the right road, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I'm just heading
Road.
Yeah. Road.
So it's going to hurt, but it's like digging deep for your kettlebell workout or doing something like that. You anticipate the pain and the discomfort, and you're okay with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what a fight is. Like I knew it was going to hurt. Like in that last fight, he kicked me there, and I was like, you know what? Screw this shit. I'm kicking it back. And
you had so much heart, man. I'm saying that not as a friend, as a spectator to that fight. It was you dug out of a deep freaking hole. And that was like, I think any fighter that dreams of a comeback, that's pretty much how it would have went. But you would have got the decision at the end.
Yeah, I want a couple more.
2 more leg kicks.
Or pulled out that Kimura. That fucking Kimura.
Yeah, what's the deal, dude?
I don't know. The Kimura's like, it's my unicorn. It's my, I've subbed out the multiple time world champions that I've trained with. In training, I hit them with Kimura. You know, and it's my move that I've got a couple others that guys that I trained with, you know, in the higher level guys, the black belts and stuff like that they had to respect. But the Kimura was always one of them, and I've never landed in a fight. And I've been so close on so many occasions, and I just can't seem to get it. Like I've had it out of the pocket, you know, and had the arm out, and I just can never get it. And I don't know why it is. Because I'm trying to do the same things that I do in training. And
well, one thing that we talked about on the way down here, I was talking to you a little bit about kind of fighting and just learning different moves and how it all, you know, kind of breaks down. And you had brought up a really good point that if you look at the majority of UFC fights that are won by submission, the number of actual moves that they're won by it's really comes down to like basimex.
Yeah.
There aren't
many Kimura victories in the UFC.
Yeah.
It's armbar triangle, rear naked, and guillotine. I mean, those are the 4 submissions that you're most likely to land if you're going to sub somebody out. You're not as likely to land a leg lock. You're not as likely to hit a twister. You know, that's just the way that it is. You have to drill those things and work those things and make sure you're sharp with them, because more often than not, that's the one that's gonna
open up.
Yeah, that's the one that's gonna work for you.
And you have to be that sharp on it too. We talked about that because today we were doing a podcast, for me, really specific to our hunting trip. And you know, you talked about the reason you missed your opportunity was because you made some very basic mistakes when it comes to what I've taught you in archery, and really what the fundamentals and the nucleus of a good shot, what those are, and those broke down. And you also talked about the fact, because your mind is, you know, one, you've traveled you've had like your Ram event, you had our turkey hunt, you had a couple of appearances that you did for some UFC fights. Like, you've been traveling a lot, plus you signed for a fight, so you're starting to hit bags again, or mitts, I guess you call it. Bags. I hit
bags every now and then. I get called a douchebag for it.
It hit sacks.
Yeah.
But no, you weren't able to practice, and even on our hunt that we did for the turkey hunt, you weren't practicing that much. No. So you just weren't able to, when that opportunity happened and that bear like came out and gave you that shot, you were so in the moment that you kind of let the moment get the best of you, and you weren't sharp enough on your instincts with basic principles to making a good shot, to where you just didn't do it. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, when it comes to your UFC stuff, if you neglect those, you know, crucial building blocks, then you're never gonna find that one or be able to capitalize on that one opportunity. Yeah. You know, you have to stay sharp on those little things. And you said that you've really made your whole career out of being really good at the things that win fights.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I have a very basic game. It's attack and go to the basics, and you know, I don't have complex moves. I don't have a lot of sweeps. I don't have a lot of passes. You know, I've got more submissions but it's like I don't throw crazy strikes or anything like that. I stick to the meat and potatoes, and you do the meat and potatoes. Usually they work. So
they do work.
They do work. You know.
Let's talk about this freaking card. Dude.
Yeah,
we got a good UFC fight tonight. I wonder when it starts.
Yeah, tomorrow night.
Oh, it's. I keep forgetting what day it is. Yeah.
So, UFC. UFC.
211.
Yeah.
So Shamrock and Gracie
are going at it again.
Okay.
Main event is Stipe Miocic against Junior Dos Santos.
That's gonna be.
It's gonna be a good fight.
Yeah.
Junior won the last time they fought. Stipe has looked really freaking good in his last couple fights. Really being dominant lately. I mean, I like both guys, but I just think that Stipe is going to take it. You know, and on this podcast, we're not very good at picking fights. So usually what that means is we pick somebody and the other person wins.
Yeah, but you got me now. And a lot of times, I'm pretty much going to be that asshole at your company Super Bowl pick party that literally doesn't even know the name of the teams, and wins the freaking Super Bowl purse just because they're like, yeah, I thought a Bronco would beat a Raider in a fight.
I like hunting bears, so I'm gonna pick the Bears to win.
Yeah, I love bears. My boyfriend got me one at the Six Flags. He threw a ball at 3 bottles left-handed. Got me a little bear. I love the voices we're coming up with. For the first time in like, I don't know, 1,000 miles, we're actually going downhill.
Yeah.
I feel like we've done nothing but climb and pump my ears full of whatever to get in the pop.
Horse has his face, or her face, buried.
What?
In a pile of hay. Like, all it was sticking up was the ears. That was a pile of hay. Well, going to town.
That's what I'm going to be doing when I get into a sushi roll here in Vancouver. Some horse is going to be driving by saying that freaking dude has his face.
That Sasquatch over there.
I love a Sasquatch. I've been waiting to see one in the woods. What's our next matchup? I'm going with the firefighter.
Firefighter?
I think he's going to win on a fireman's carry.
All right.
In the third.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here. That's how we pick fireman's carry.
Mm-hmm. There's another title fight. I forget what the name.
At 115?
Yeah, 115 pound women. I always forget what the name of the division is. Strawweight? I think that's it.
Yeah, we can make up the name.
Yeah, strawweight. Jonah versus Jessica. You know,
I flip a coin on the ladies' cards because I've seen ladies come out looking like they're going to be champ for the next 3 years, and then for whatever reason they just have some kind of a weird off night. I've seen Holly. I've seen a few times.
It happens to dudes too.
Yeah, it does.
Dudley.
Oh yeah. See how you threw that in there? It does.
It happens to everybody.
Who are you going with?
I'm going with Jonah. You know, she's nasty. I mean, Jessica's a very talented fighter as well. It says here that Jonah's got a 5-inch reach advantage as well, which is pretty hefty when you're talking about like
everything.
66-inch reach to a 61-inch reach. You know, she's got very good striking, fast hands.
So obviously, if you're the coach, you're saying keep that distance the whole time.
Oh, yeah. Salt and pepper.
What's that mean?
Pepper, yeah, I don't know. Just I'm fucking
float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
I'm buzzing on a fucking monster Java or whatever the hell it is.
Salt and pepper is what volleyball people do when they warm up.
Yeah.
Don't they call it a little salt and pepper when they kind of bump, set, spike, bump, set it, bump it? No?
All I can think of is yo, baby boy. Hey,
we need to do that. This guy right here, Jim, actually knows the words of some serious old school rap. And Push It was one of them. You can I mean, somehow we got on the subject of Push It, and I've got a pretty killer playlist mix on my iPhone right now because my boys. What's that?
She's just saying go straight.
Oh, my boy's graduation party's coming up in 2 weeks, so he's been continually building his playlist, and
I'm gonna sing karaoke for you guys.
well, I've got Push It on my phone, so I played it. I didn't realize he actually knows all the words.
Just about.
And you have some pretty good skills.
you know what song was stuck in my head? One of our what do you even? Brittany's one of the guides there at.
Yeah, it's Nick's wife,
girlfriend. Yeah.
I heard they were married.
Oh yeah,
secretly
married.
It's like a wedlock.
Yeah. All right.
Because her dad's a samurai, and Nick's dad.
That's cool.
Had extra horses.
It was a trade.
Yeah.
Well, her name's Brittany, so all of a sudden I'm like, oh baby, how was I supposed to know? And then the whole, we're sitting there driving around looking for bears, and in my head, I'm just like going over this song.
Did you say it out loud?
No. Oh, pretty baby, I shouldn't have let you go.
Jeez, roll with it. I'm gonna just sit back. Hold on. Let me recline this.
If I had a superpower, it'd be.
Is there a yellow anaconda in the back seat? Like in her video where she came out?
Yeah, no, that was a different.
You got the green outfit.
I guess I do. But yeah, that song was stuck in my head the whole damn time.
All right, Brittany, who's next?
So, Damian Maia versus Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal's coming off a huge win over Cowboy. He's looked really good, but Damian Maia has this skill that makes guys that are very good on the ground look like they don't know what they're doing.
Why?
Because he's phenomenal on the mat, and he's so good at controlling people. It makes his fights look boring to other people, to people that aren't like obsessed with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Because not much happens. But there's a lot that's going on when somebody like Damian can control a Carlos Condit or one of these other guys and not allow them to pose any offense.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of skill going on, and it's amazing to see. And sometimes it ends up 15 minutes of Damian on somebody's back and not able to finish. But there's still something to that, man. It's like
because of the control
and his abilities.
That's interesting to hear, because one thing for a non-jiu-jitsu guy or a non kind of UFC knowledgeable person like myself, it gets frustrating sometimes when you're watching a match and there's not like ground and pound happening.
Yeah.
But, for someone that obviously are looking at it from a pure technique point of view, like you or Rogan would, or your brother, Pat, you guys understand how much it takes, especially when you know how good the other person is, to be able to manipulate control like that and and actually have to prevent someone that excels in that part of their game, and you're literally shutting them down and protecting yourself and coming out of the fight with a win. And really, for you guys, that's what you're there for.
Yeah,
you're there to win, no matter how you have to do your best to shut down their best strengths. So it's cool to hear it from that aspect. And a lot of times, I forget to understand that when I'm watching a fight, and it does just like go on. And you're like, dude, stand them up. Let's get something going.
Yeah, like there's a fine line between somebody that's trying to win, and it's, they're just maintaining control, and they're not getting it, and somebody that's trying to not lose. Like,
yeah.
if somebody goes out there and they don't want to engage, and you said it though. I mean, we're there to win, and this is a career. Like, you're looking at a lot of money and your livelihood, and unfortunately, the way it is you're only as good as your last fight. And I mean, when that comes from the top, that kind of sucks to hear, because it shouldn't be like that.
Yep.
It should be a collection of what you've accomplished and what you've been able to do, and how you fought. But we are there to win. So, if somebody goes out there and, like Damien does, just completely dominates, but it is a slow, controlled fight, it's not because he's not trying to submit guys. Like, he wants to get in there and get out of there as quickly as possible, because he doesn't want to get hurt, so that he can fight again in 2 or 3 months, so that he can make more money, because we only get paid if we're fighting. You know, like, we don't get paid to sit on the side and wait for a fight. So he's trying to do it. He's trying to put people away, but it's just, it is, sometimes it is I guess it's not as exciting as it might be if he was more reckless. But
are the judges,
he doesn't get paid to be reckless, he gets paid to win.
Yeah. Do the judges understand that? Do you think that's why sometimes there's so much debate on who won, because they're not looking? Do you think they know the fighters well enough to, I mean, are they even allowed to award a point, say, if they know, okay, he's completely shutting down this obvious strength, right?
Now they can. Now they have a little bit more freedom in the way that they score. It's easier for a judge to subtract a point or something like that from somebody. And the problem I see with judging, and a lot of the criticism that comes with judging, is that you're just looking at 3 people's point of view.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just three people. We could have a bigger pool. You could go to 5. You could go to, any odd number you want.
Yeah.
So it's a bigger pool, so you don't get those really, like, okay, well, you might have a couple weird scores, but at least if you're pulling from, 21 judges that are there in attendance, some are sitting around the cage, and since now they can look at monitors, they used to not be able to look at monitors. They used to have to look at the fight, sitting, at curtain level. Now you just have a couple in freaking,
you think
offices or something like that around, or in the press section, stuff like that, watching the fight, and then you get multiple different opinions.
Like my opinion.
But the thing of it is, why there's a lot of criticism is because people love to criticize. They love controversy. So, granted, when you have 3 different judges that score a fight in completely different ways, that opens it up for criticism. But sometimes when it's like, it's a 29-28 fight, and it's a close fight, it's a close fight is just that, it's close. So sometimes it's going to go one way or the other, and it really all depends on what those judges saw. And to say that a 29-28 is a robbery because the other guy should have had 29-28 is kind of ridiculous, because it's
objective.
Unless it was like a clear, like, beat the crap out of somebody for 2 rounds and then got
one
the crap
guy's
beat
bloody
out.
And one guy's not even bloody.
Even blood though, it doesn't necessarily mean.
I meant more like when your face is rearranged.
Sometimes, listen. Sometimes let's say you lose a round where you take some punishment. You can still win the fight. Like, and then once you're cut, or once you start that swelling in your face, then even the littlest things add to it.
Yeah.
And it exaggerates it. Where you might be winning the fight, you might be out-striking and out-grappling, but you just haven't landed that big enough shot to cause the swelling, or to cause the cut, that then is, making it a little bit easier to add on to it. It's a very subjective thing, and that's the problem with it. Is you're just looking at opinions.
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's an opinion, and everybody's got one.
Everyone's got their opinion, Jim Miller.
Just like assholes.
Hold on, yellow light.
Whoa.
Easy now.
Shortstop.
Easy now. I'm just tilting this down a little bit because you got a crazy glare. And if people are wanting to look at that pretty face of yours.
I want to see my sweet beard that's out of control.
I think it's in the same control it's been in forever.
Yeah.
Which is out of control.
It is out of control. So what else we got here?
Next fight,
we got Frankie Edgar against Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah, this could be a good
That's Frankie's.
Frankie's Frankie.
Frankie's Frankie, man. The little engine that could.
Yep.
He's always in there to fight, and he's been in the UFC for over 10 years now.
But
crazy.
But on the other side of the octagon, got a pretty it's pretty impressive last fight.
Young hotness, yeah. Rodriguez is very talented. I don't know how he's gonna deal with Frankie's wrestling, but he's definitely a very creative striker, and
it's funny though. Sometimes you get people that look at the last Conor fight. You get people that have that skill set, but then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, just maybe take one shot and then just completely abandon the game plan. So I mean, that looks like a monkey, doesn't it?
It does.
Actually, it is. It's like
somebody carved Easter Island head.
Yeah, someone carved a big baboon into the side of a massive mountain.
Yeah.
Or we could just be that tired and we're seeing things. Either which is fine.
Yeah.
So what do you think on that match? That's a good...
I got to go with Frankie. We fought 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah, over 10 years ago. And I kicked a piece of his ear off, and he punched me in the face a lot. And,
Which fight was that for you?
That was both of our sixth fight. And then he got signed to the UFC right after that. And took me another.
Oh, so this wasn't a UFC fight?
No, it wasn't a UFC fight. We kind of knew that.
Was it a jersey? Like a jersey type sanction?
Yeah. We were like, the top guys in Jersey at lightweight, and gave it a shot. Unfortunately, the gym that I was training at closed down like 3 weeks prior, and it taught me a lesson too, like to surround myself with a team, because
very good point.
I really didn't have any training partners leading up to that. I had a couple guys that I was working with here and there. It was
it's kind of a fine line
lesson,
though, isn't it? I guess I don't know in your area of expertise, but for some people like myself, I like having someone that knows me well enough to where they can really correct technique, but I actually feel like I'm a better athlete when I'm responsible for my own training. I like to train, I like to compete with people that are at or preferably above my level just prior to go time. But when it comes to the fundamentals and getting in the reps, it's just like with the gym. I don't work out with people at the gym, even though my buddy James, who you met, he's right there and he works out too, but there's certain times I'll go over and I'll work out with him, but there's also certain times where it's like I want to focus so specifically on things that I know that I need to work on, and I want to be able to I almost want to be at a loss for words. I want to be able to be self-critical.
Yeah.
Instead of having someone saying, okay, now you need to do this, now you need to do this, when mentally I still haven't accepted that I'm doing that at the level where I'm comfortable moving on to something else. So I do that a lot with at least with my archery training and my weight training. I really focus on, I call it selective cycling, because my workouts cycle with things that I'm selecting as being what I need to work on. And normally I try to pick my weaknesses, and then once I've made my weakness stronger than something else, then I move on to what I feel is the weakest. I don't know if that's relative.
To a degree. I mean, like, it's with MMA, you have, it takes two to tango. So you have to have somebody there, and you have to have somebody there that's going to help you get better. But also at this point, like,
well, you have more aspects too.
Yeah, you also have to, like, there's two different approaches to it, and one is to train to get better every day, and that's the one that I've tried to do. But there's also, like, train to beat the one guy that you are about to fight. But sometimes that one guy doesn't show up and somebody else does.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just saying.
That's one of the issues too. So, like, I got to where I am by just training to get better, and, like, hey man, I'm gonna train to be world class, and when my opponent isn't, I'm gonna capitalize on it.
Yeah,
and
it's a good mentality.
But the problem with that is that it's very intensive. So I'm kind of shifting a little bit now to, like, okay, well, I'm training to beat that one freaking guy, and because I've had opponents switch before, and you go from fighting a lefty to a righty, or a righty to a lefty, and all this stuff where, well, I just trained for 6 weeks sparring righties, and now I gotta fight a lefty in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
but it shouldn't matter, because it's like anybody can switch in a fight anyway. So. You should be prepared for it all, but why not make that day a little bit easier and focus on fight specific things? So I learned from that fight that I had with Frankie, but I gotta go with him because he's a Jersey boy and we stick together.
All right.
So
I like it.
Although Rodriguez, I'm a big fan of his.
I wouldn't be surprised if Rodriguez came out and had a sharp game.
Yeah,
because
it's
I like young hunger too.
Yeah. We'll see. David Branch is coming back to the UFC. He's fighting Christoph.
Not familiar.
Branch was 205 and 185 pound champ in World Series.
Let me see the picture. You keep talking. I've seen him actually.
Branch is a good dude. Trained with him before.
Yeah, he's a hoss. Man.
He is.
He's a freaking big sucker.
And he's looked very, very sharp in his last couple fights. And I'm picking him.
Like
I don't know much. Yeah,
doesn't he?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
Sucker needs to be playing defensive end for somebody.
Yeah. Like when we met him, he was like skinnier and stuff like that, and then. That was years ago, so it's a couple of years of being a professional athlete, just focusing on the gym and getting better.
Yep,
to fill you out. So I'm going with Branch on that one. And then we got Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier.
Gosh, this is a really good card.
Yeah,
I wish it was tonight. We could pull in, rent that, get about 7 feet of sushi lined up, and go into a white rice coma by about
and then have to wake up at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Eddie versus Poirier is a good fight. I've sparred with Eddie. I fought Poirier recently. I mean, I'm gonna pull for Eddie. It's one of those things. I always try to root for the guys that I've fought, just because you want them to do good. Dustin's a good dude, and he's a hell of a fighter. We definitely put it on the last fight, but I think Eddie's got a very good wrestling game, and he hits freaking hard. I don't know how Dustin's gonna crack Eddie. You know, like I don't know how he's gonna beat.
Crack him with like.
I mean, like crack the nut. You know, I think that Eddie's gonna pull it out. I think it's gonna be a tough fight. They're both scrappy, man. You know, it's like shit. Stepping in and sparring with Eddie was like stepping into the cage for a fight. like, holy shit!
It's like 90% all the time.
Yeah, like intensity wise, and it's like, you know,
it's another one of those
fun
hot
times.
topics.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always like that with any sport. You know, there's one coach that really feels like the athletes that are tuned into game speed, if they are tough enough to make it through game speed and they're in condition for game speed, then they're totally ready for game time. But there's also the mentality of, you know, if you're going game speed all the time,
you're gonna burn out.
You get a lot of bumps and bruises too.
And that's the toughest part, like, is that we don't get paid. You know, Eddie and I went in, we scrapped for 3 rounds. And nobody, you know, if either one of us got hurt during those rounds, neither of us are getting paid for it. Like, he was fighting for the title. You know, this was before UFC 200 for me. Like, it's good. It's good to do for certain things. I mean, like, you kind of gotta break yourself into fighting and being in there and knowing what it's like, and, you know, knowing that intensity. But at the same time, like I said, you don't get paid to spar. You don't get paid to pull out of a fight.
No.
So you have to try to train with the goal of making it to the fight. And then train to be the best, you know, that you can be in there.
Oh yeah. Do you have a time frame that is really optimal for you when it comes to training? Like, for example, some people, as soon as they sign for a fight, you know, which you knew maybe, I don't know, has it been a month ago? You knew about this fight?
Yeah, I knew a couple weeks ago about the fight. They didn't release it until, you know, just recently.
Right. But for you, do you know, like, and especially because you're training a lot, do you know really that small window of where you can really get refined to be on your edge rather than overtraining and, you know?
Yeah, for me, Gesundheit. For me, like 6 weeks. You know, I've had camps that were 13 weeks long, and
that would be a burnout for me.
They just fucking kick the shit out of you, you know? And it's like,
I think
it's
just
hard.
shy of 4 weeks. Like, for me, when I prepared for big world championships and things, and obviously it's way different for me, but I feel like if I go too long, I'm bored with training, and then I'm not eager to go out and compete.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if it was the same with you guys.
You know, I never liked the idea of peaking for a fight. Like, I always trained. Like, I was in the gym pretty much constantly for a long time. I mean, the first time that I took off, like, any time where I didn't train for like 2 months was 2011. You know, so I'd been fighting for, like, my first fight was in 2005, like 5.5 years. Before I took off like a solid 2 months of really like not doing anything. And that's the thing, is like I was constantly in the gym, and I was also, you know, we were building the group of guys around us. So I was at the top of the heap, and it was easier for me to, like, okay, well, have a bad day you can still survive and still do what you got to do. Even with guys going, rotating in on you and stuff like that. But now it's like I have to be smarter with it, and there's just too many nagging injuries and shit like that, and too much money on the line to to have to pull out a fight, But yeah, I like 6 or 7 weeks.
And that's good for you to make weight too, because
Yeah.
you're able to.
Yeah.
I mean, you've told me that you always try to stay fairly close to weight, to where if you did get called, you could pretty much go in. You don't like to have to majorly cut.
No, yeah, I don't want to. Like, there was a time where I walked around at the upper 180s. And I took the first Joe Lozon fight. I was 187 pounds, I think, when I took that fight. It's interesting. There's a fire
In the head.
Yeah.
There's literally
an empty
semi-trailer burning on the side of the road. Like the guy's like, "Oh crap,
I'm out of here.
My dope's burning." Yeah. You never know what you're gonna find.
Yeah. That was 6 weeks out. I was 187 pounds.
That's unbelievable.
And I lost like 16, 17 pounds in 5 weeks, and then cut the rest. And like at that volume of training, that's kind of the sweet spot for me, is like about 6. So I've been training a bit. Like, I found out about the fight, I was healing up my knee and sealed up, and I was back in training a little bit, hitting pads, grappling and stuff like that, but not going crazy with it, and doing 2 days and 3 days and stuff like that. But
what for people that are really wanting to start out, or they want to get into MMA, and they really don't have much background, where would you, in your professional opinion, where would you have them start? And what are things that you wouldn't have spent a lot of your focus on, and what are things that you wish you would have put more focus on?
I mean, if we're talking about kids, I'd put kids into wrestling. Get kids into wrestling.
Wrestling before jiu-jitsu?
Wrestling before jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Because wrestling is the hardest thing for an adult to learn. The absolute hardest thing for an adult to learn is how to wrestle. Because it's the stance is the big thing. It's like, it's not, you're in a weirdly athletic stance. And the problem is that a lot of people get hurt wrestling. And that's where in training most fighters get hurt, is while doing some sort of takedowns or something like that. It's not from being, doing jiu-jitsu, unless they have a huge ego and they decide to not tap, or it's really not from striking too much. It's from wrestling. That's where knees get blown out. That's where backs get hurt, necks get hurt, all that stupid stuff. So I'd have kids start wrestling. But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is for everybody. It's absolutely for everybody. I love Muay Thai, and it's for just about everybody. Like, you can, depending on the style of instruction, you should be able to get just about anybody to be able to do it and have a good time, get a good sweat, get some of that energy out, and vent a little bit on the pads, which everybody loves to do. Even though in the beginning it should be more controlled and just technique, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu all the way, because, like I said, it's for everybody. Most places you're going to start on your knees, or one person's on their back starting guard, so it's not like
you're not shooting in. You got 200 pounds lunging at your ACL. Whereas when you're a kid, you can bounce around.
Yeah,
things
man,
like that,
flexible,
too.
young, and takedowns are. I mean, unfortunately at the gym, that's where we see our injuries, is to somebody trying to defend a takedown, and maybe the person that's taking them down doesn't know exactly what they're doing, and the person getting taken down doesn't know exactly what they're doing. And now they need to learn it. They need to learn how to do it.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's like, if you're injured, you're not coming in, you're not training, you're not getting better, you're not.
Is that why a lot of times when you watch, because I always watch Curtis at the Onnit Academy.
Uh-huh.
I watch Curtis's Instagram a lot, and when you're watching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu like practice, a lot of times it kind of looks like slow motion coming in, but they're just doing that for injury prevention.
Yeah, and you're kind of just like
you going through reps, or
you're playing. You're playing. Like, it's hard to play while you're wrestling. It really is. To just like roll around and kind of flow. It takes a higher level wrestler to just flow than it does somebody to just flow in jiu-jitsu. Like, it takes a little bit higher level of a striker to just kind of flow and know how to throw a punch with some speed, but not put any power on it. But
yeah, because you said a lot of times if you knock someone out, it's because you're actually not.
Yeah,
you're throwing a punch where you're not trying to throw hard, but because it's so efficient, it ends up doing it.
Yeah, it's bad. It's like
it's bad.
It's bad.
What is this? This car has so many warning alarms.
It says driver alert, time for a break. It says you've been driving too long.
It says coffee cup.
Yeah, it's got a coffee cup.
Okay, here we go.
I gotta drain the main vein.
You do?
Come on.
Man, I'm in condition. I've done a few Joe Rogan podcasts.
Yeah.
So I'm on like 40 ounces of fluid right now. My bladder's saying, "What's up, bitch?"
I'd have to put a catheter in.
I can do it. I actually had to
on the next episode of the Hands On podcast, John gets hands on.
Yep. When
all we have is this stir straw.
Oh, now that would be different. No, I did have to learn to do my own catheter, and I just had this complex about someone doing a catheter for me, so I'm just like, okay, just let me do my own. Mm-hmm. It's less embarrassing for me, and I'll just jam that thing in there. So
we've talked about catheters on the podcast before.
Yeah,
and like,
did you do it to one another?
No.
Why?
Because but Pat had an issue where he had to have a scope.
Oh.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pat.
Yeah. They're like, don't go pee.
Well, unless you're wanting to watch your pee go off a 100-foot gully, then you're not taking a whiz here. You may have to.
I'll hold it.
Yeah, I mean, on the camera up here, we're waist and above in case you need to do the spin around and do your first pee on the podcast.
Yeah, on the podcast.
Pee on podcast.
Fill up a cup.
The pee on. Was that all the fights?
Well, no, there was a couple other fights in the other cards, stuff like that.
Well, geez, don't diss some poor Jim Miller that's on an undercard just because. See any other names worth knowing about down in there? It's just like happy to get a paycheck this week.
Chaz Skelly.
Yeah, dude.
Jason Knight.
Okay.
Got Chase Sherman and Rashad Coulter. See, I'm bad with particularly last names.
Well,
first names are always easy.
Who isn't? I mean, honestly, Joe Rogan and in the archery announcing world, George Tekmachov.
Well, they have, like, Rogan gets, like, how to say it. Like, you say your name when you sign with the UFC, you say your name in a recorder. So then they have like a
listen,
James.
Dude, I've been places
Miller.
having a conversation with Joe, and there's not anyone talking in his ear, And
I know, but like they have.
you're
that.
saying he's said it enough times where at least he knows the enunciation.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's heard it. Like that's the thing is
Well,
I mean, I haven't heard these everybody's names enough.
well,
You know,
get with it.
I know. Like, all right, you're driving, but I mean, if we were live, then somebody would help us with that. But like, say that one.
It's an inch long. I get it.
Right.
I mean, no question. If they're from anywhere,
Jadzirmrad.
yeah. If you're anywhere north of France,
Yeah.
if you're northeast of
Russian?
France and Switzerland, there's a good chance no one in the U.S. is going to be able to announce that shit. But there's a few that can.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been at archery tournaments with George Tekmachoff, and every single type of name you could ever imagine from any country, he knows.
Nailed it.
He knows the dialect well enough to know, like, when two V's are after a Y and an E, it's actually a silent J.
Yeah, that's pretty
Look
interesting.
at that road over there. Like, I don't know if it's...
It's like a goat trail.
Yeah, it's like a goat trail cut into the side of this massive mountain. It's like the Hokiman Trail. No, there's a car on it. So it's... Yeah.
I guess it's a road.
Road. Yeah, it's a road.
We're just that far away.
That far. Well, what else you want to talk about, Jim Miller? We're still not to Vancouver.
We're still a little ways away from Vancouver.
Yep. I'll talk about anything with you. Maybe. Not gonna. What would Pat and Dan want to talk about right now? People, this is pretty cool. We're in this small little. Well, it's actually part of it's not cool. We were on the way here. We didn't realize that when an accident happens in British Columbia, well, specifically a fatality, which is the unfortunate part, there was a fatality with a collision, and they had to shut down the road. Caution, bighorn sheep next 4 kilometers. That's a pretty cool sign.
That looked like she ?
Yeah, she ? Well, so we had to wait about 4 hours on the side of a road, and luckily right before we knew there was a bad accident, they told us that right after this one town we were going to have to wait. So we actually pulled in and got some drinks and food and stuff like that at this little convenience store, and the guy behind the counter says, "Are you Jim Miller?" And he says, "Yeah." And he's just like, "Oh dude, big fan, love the UFC." And then he looked at me and he goes, "Are you Dan?" I'm like, "No." I should have rolled with it. Should have been like, "Hell yes." What do you mean, am I Dan? I'm looking for sheep.
Yeah.
Why do they tell you that? I mean,
So they can shut the road down.
yeah, exactly. Because now when they say, "Warning, bighorn sheep," I'm like swerving across the road because I'm trying to see the sheep. Whereas if they would have just not said anything and said "animals at large," you'd have been like, "Okay, I'm gonna watch the road, but I really don't care." Too bad.
Yeah. Like
Too bad.
Fancy goats.
You see any up there? I'll let you look.
No, I haven't seen any.
Well, you're not even looking up.
So I am looking.
Oh, it's your neck. I forgot. Here's Jim.
Yeah.
Can you look up there?
Yeah, I've got the wrestler next.
You got a 2-degree bend. Imagine waiting for that train.
Yeah, that would suck. So when I came into Vancouver, I went through customs.
Oh yeah.
And you answer all the questions, and it's all computerized now. And it's like, do you have any weapons? And it's like machine guns, nunchucks, switchblades, dynamite. Also, it's like video game weapons. It's like Double Dragon. Do you have any chains? You want to swing around?
What was that Double Dragon? Was that on the Commodore 64?
It was on Nintendo. That it might have been on. It might have been on there, but But I was like, I have a bow. Like, that's not a weapon. So I'm going through, and she's like, "Oh, what are you here for?" You know, I was like, I'm going on a bear hunt. Gonna catch a big one. And she's
Catch
like,
it?
yeah, it's a book. It's a children's book.
Okay.
So she's like, "Oh, do you have rifles?" And she like, her demeanor completely changed. I'm like, no, just got a bow and arrow. And she's like, "Oh, well, you're gonna have to make sure that checks out or whatever." I'm like, okay. So I go over there, go to the counter with, the guy sitting in there, and he's like, "What are you're applying for a visa?" Because she wrote this like big X on my, my papers.
Uh-oh.
So he's like, "You trying to get a work visa or something?" I was like, no, I'm just going on a bear hunt. He's like, "You traveling with a rifle?" I'm like, no. I'm like, "I've got a bow and arrow." He's like, "Did you not read the question?" I was like, "Well, I read the question. I just didn't think a bow was a weapon." He's like, "Well, it is." And he like scribbled something down and let me through. And he's like,
scribbled idiot in shorthand.
Yeah, like, I mean,
I wish I knew what their little abbreviations really were.
Yeah. It's funny because when you like check in to go through security, they'll write all over your ticket. But now you can use your phone, and you just scan your phone. They're writing on my phone. They're not writing anything down.
FTG.
So what are they
What do
writing
you think that means?
I don't know.
F this guy.
Yeah.
That means, sir, we're going to have to do a cavity search. Yeah, you didn't. Says here you weren't on foreign livestock soil, so we're going to have to check that cavity out.
Yeah. Were you around any cows? No, I was not.
No. Try that. Have you been around any livestock? No. Or like the bighorn sheep?
Yeah.
No. This has been an awesome drive.
Well, I did see this one, and he was.
We need to just do podcasts on the road.
Pink socking it. Red socking it.
Oh, yeah. You're talking. On our way up, we actually did see some we're like, look, bighorn sheep. They're right on the side of the road. You had to stop. Literally stop the car for the bighorn sheep.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's
mating season.
It's bone time. And this poor ewe was around the wrong 3 rams because she had not been taken care of.
That's where the name comes when they say they're in heat.
Yeah.
It looked hot. And not in a good way. Looked a little inflamed.
There was some rug burn.
Yeah. It's really weird, but I have seen, and not on purpose, I've seen a lot of wild animals having sex.
Okay, here we go. This is gonna get good.
One time I was playing Little League baseball, and I'm out there in right field, and all of a sudden I hear, and this fucking duck comes in and fucking lands, and she lands like 15 feet from me.
Yeah.
So I was walking around a little bit. Next thing you hear, fucking mallard comes down and starts having sex with her right there, like 15 feet from me. I'm like,
that's pretty impressive.
A 10-year-old kid, and these 2 ducks are doing it, rubbing cloacae together, next to me.
Well,
and then
I learned about
turtles.
You saw turtles?
I saw turtles. I was playing golf.
Do they have like a trap door that flips down?
I don't know. They were in the waterish, or like.
So how do you know they weren't just?
Oh, it was mounted.
Oh, okay.
He was like they were right on the waters. This little stream. I hit my ball into the water.
Have you ever seen 2 dragonflies get it on?
I've seen 2 dragonflies stuck together.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I got some crazy pictures of some big old dragonfly action.
That's pretty interesting.
I try to learn new things every day. What else have you seen? Turtles and ducks aren't that impressive.
They're not that impressive.
Bighorn sheep now.
Bighorn sheep now.
Quality.
There was another one. Like, because it was kind of an ongoing ongoing thing because I was like a teenager.
I mean, we've all seen carp spawn, so don't act like that's cool.
No, it wasn't carp.
You ever seen ostriches get it on?
No, I've never seen that.
I have.
Yeah.
The male ostrich does the craziest freaking dance. You should Google male ostrich mating dance.
Male ostrich mating dance.
Does this crazy freaking dance where he gets down and he does this like boogie and he like takes his wing and he like lifts his feathers to show his hip. He like shows his hip off. Sharon and I were in a blind in South Africa, and all of a sudden these two ostriches came in, and there was a female and two males, and they were like competing against one another for, you know, who was going to get some action.
Yeah.
And it was just like they were like facing one another. Yeah, it was like a dance off with two full-blown like 7-foot tall ostriches. It was pretty sweet.
That's pretty sweet.
I'm trying to think.
Did you shoot one?
Huh?
Did you shoot one? Did you shoot the loser? Or the...
Oh, I saw a blue monkey frickin' just have his way with a female monkey. They're not cool about it.
No.
This monkey, it was a big male, and he was up in the tree, and the whole like monkey clan came in, and they were drinking water out of this little pond, and we're like looking up on this limb, this big male monkey's up there, and all of a sudden the dude just like slaps his meat, gets this big old rock on, and I mean, I'm sitting there like, okay, he's sitting there like working this thing, looking down, like, meanwhile the main female's like bent over drinking water at the pond, so she's like, you know, in the position.
Yeah.
He sits there and works that meat a little while, and then just freaking double swings out, launches through the air, lands behind her, and just jams her face down into the mud and just freaking pours it on. And then when he was done, he freaking slapped her and went like, and then just freaking ran back up and got on his limb and just sat back like that. I mean, dude, he was like pimp monkey. Yep.
Poor thing.
Big old blue freaking monkey. Yep. I mean, he like, there's a bear right there.
Look at that.
Look at that. Laying up in the grass. Just,
I got my bow in the back.
I know you do, but 3 misses in 1 week could be a problem.
Whoa. Who said I was going to miss this one?
I don't know. I like how this Volvo corners.
It does. It's got some nice handling to it.
I think the only reason we got the Volvo was because it had navigation.
Yeah.
And I had paid for a sat nav. I Priceline this baby, name your own price.
I'm not even using it.
No, we don't need to. We know our way around these parts.
About the stars.
I just licked my thumb in the wind.
I smell my way down there.
What?
I know by the smell.
What does Vancouver smell like? Pulp? I don't know what the main industry is in Vancouver.
Blueberries.
Is it?
No, I don't know.
God dang it, Jim. This looks crazy.
It's the main industry.
This is we're driving along the Fraser River. It's beautiful.
Looks a little rough.
It is very high right now.
Yeah.
And we've done really well.
That's about the volume that I'm gonna pee out when we get to this next rest stop.
You know, we could probably stop right at the place where they thought I was Dan Miller.
Might be able to.
I know we can. It shouldn't be more than like 20 minutes up here. You can hold it for 20, can't you? What? We'll see. You're going to. You're going to, sucker. Yeah, you look at country like this, and you kind of think, you know, Bigfoot probably could hide if he wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean, if Bigfoot could see perfectly at night, he knew when people were trying to get all gangster on him, he could just have a cave way up in these hills. And if he ever saw anyone get close, he'd just have to launch that sucker off this bridge into the Fraser, and you'd never see him.
Throw a fucking rock at him.
All these people that go missing, it's probably just Bigfoot launching them off of cliffs.
Dan had a Bigfoot experience
a
few years ago. Yeah.
Okay, let's hear this.
So, like the eastern lore of Bigfoot is he was referred to as the skunk ape. So
wait, yeah, it is.
So,
they have a different kind of call too. I think it's more like
something like that.
No, that was Tarzan.
Well, there was a little crack in it because I was trying to hold it back. There's a little more rattle to it. I didn't want to get too high, but
I thought it was like more of a scream.
Yeah, well, that's what they call
skunk ape.
Yeah, skunk ape.
Yeah.
So
my boy taught me about him.
So what they would say is that, like, it would smell like a skunk for a while, a couple days, and they'd have these these experiences where weird shit happens. Well, it started stinking around Dan's house, and he was really cautious with the pups. This was about probably 9.5 years ago, because his dogs, they're going to be 10, so they were puppies. So
he was cautious with the pups.
He was cautious with the pups because he thought there was a skunk around, and it was like
a skunk, but not a skunk ape.
Yeah, like 2-3 days where it was lingering.
Okay.
And then like they started barking the one night, so he let him out, and they like just kind of went to the edge of where the light was, and they wouldn't go beyond it. Normally they would just like they'd beeline up there and chase the bears away and shit. So they just kind of sat there and like barked, and he heard a thump, and then like next thing you know, he's like another fucking thump. A rock comes fucking flying over and lands next to him. So like he fucking went inside, like grabbed the pups and fucking went inside. And it's like, what the fuck? Because that's like the lore is that it smelled like, and then they throw rocks at you and shit like that. Sometimes they throw like pine cones and crap, but it's weird. It's weird. Weird New Jersey. Strange New Jersey.
Okay. Was this right about the time that Finding Bigfoot series was out?
It might have been.
Your brother was kind of in his heyday right then, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He could have went and jacked someone in the damn face.
Should have.
But he packed his stuff and ran inside, scared of a skunk ape.
I would have pulled out the 45-70 and just
what the heck?
let it rain.
Let it rain, baby. Yeah, say hello to my little friend.
Yeah.
Freaking skunk ape. This is amazing through here.
Yeah.
I slept for most of it.
You were sleeping and playing.
Look at this fool. Is that guy getting pictures or something? What an idiot. Dude, he let himself over that. He's down there he's over the bank in the rocks with a ladder. He lowered a ladder.
It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome, but it's pretty dumb.
Remember that time we tried to save some guy in the Fraser River?
Nope. No. Definitely not. We saw some massive grizzly sign. Probably one of the biggest tracks I've ever seen. I've got a size 13 foot, and my foot in my boot was the size of this grizzly's rear foot. His front foot was, maybe two of my hands, maybe not two of my hands, but at least I'd say it was 9 inches across and like this thick.
Yeah.
It was massive. And the claws were probably like 2 inches out in front of the center pad. There's these marks like where the claws, he's not even trying to dig them in. He was probably trying to be light, but they were so freaking long. They were digging in the ground. It was crazy.
Hearing Dusty talk about some of the
my good buddy Dusty,
stuff like that was crazy, man. the like genuine
respect,
and it's like borders that like, I don't know, man, like borders that when people are like really believe in Bigfoot or you know, like, I mean, the intensity in his eyes when he talked about,
he's seen what grizzlies can do,
Yeah,
and
like-
his dad has saved a lot of hunters' lives who have been out
Crazy.
moose hunting and had grizzlies come in literally to take the moose away.
you know,
Or, you know, there's been several times where he's been with grizzly hunters and they've had the grizzly actually hunt them.
oh, it's fucking crazy.
And yeah, I mean, they're the dominant predator out there. I think if a wolf was the size of a grizzly, like that, you ever seen the American Werewolf in London
Yeah.
replica that Joe's got?
Yep.
Yeah, it's bigger than me.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's bigger than me. And that freaking thing, like, if it truly had a wolf, like, if it had the true instincts of a wolf, that would be the one thing that could just rip a grizzly to freaking shreds and back. Yeah, because I think a wolf, man, they're super destructive too.
Yeah.
But they
They're
just
so smart.
yeah, brain juice is high.
I don't know.
But
It's
we've
like,
debated this. We're going to bring up the silverback thing. I'm stuck on this silverback gorilla versus a grizzly bear, and I've changed my mind at least 4 times in the last week. But see, now Jim brings up a valid point coming from a true MMA master. He has now brought in the factors of the silverback's actual range of motion and shoulder mobility and how they function, whereas a grizzly, you know, they're kind of more like a meathead at the gym.
Yeah.
Where
They're
they have
fucking meathead turning into the Hulk.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but their range of motion in a, like, obviously if they charge and they got it on the ground, they're gonna fuck a gorilla up. Like, if they can knock them over and be on top,
which is
mounted.
which is their plan.
Yeah, which is their
I mean,
plan.
Their plan is
Now, if we're talking like, you know, it's a duel and they're opening up the cage on both sides and they're both coming at each other with the intent to fight, I think that a gorilla is going to be a little too mobile. Now, the thing is like, you know, we were talking about before, is that grizzly's got the claws and the teeth. Gorilla doesn't have the claws. So that's kind of one of those things, because if a gorilla slobber knocks a grizzly, I don't really think it's going to do anything to it. As powerful as they are, he's going to have to, like, beat his head in with a rock or something like that, or freaking hammer fist him to death.
yeah,
but-
he's gonna hammer fist the shit out of that.
But I think that, like, a gorilla is going to he's going to get hand control. He's going to get some hand control, and he's going to, now granted, a grizzly, they're pretty flexible. Bears are pretty flexible.
literally feel like a cop is shining a mag light in my
Yeah.
face.
But it's an interesting battle.
Yeah, very interesting. We should show people exactly what we're getting to see right now. Show some people.
Yeah.
Here's our views, people. You get to see this country. It's amazing.
It is. It's pretty cool drive.
Pretty cool. Not as cool as us, obviously. We're on a whole new level of cool. Look at that.
These shades. Yeah.
You do look pretty cool with your shades, Mr. Miller.
Can't handle it.
We're going through some park right now. It's awesome. Beautiful white cap mountains. Tall suckers too. And it's so bright. We've I feel like a vampire because we've been in just rain and slop for days upon end. So now we're finally
free of it.
Yeah, now we're finally breaking free. You impressed with my driving skills too?
I'm impressed.
I'm making up for it, bro.
Yeah.
You drove me here when I couldn't make it. God, that is freaking amazing what that looks like. It's awesome. Jim's not big on pictures. I'm more of I capture the moments.
It's not gonna, like, I took a lot of, like, landscape pictures while we were out there. Unfortunately, I would have liked to have taken more wildlife pictures. I took a few. I'm up in my game, my documentation game.
I like that.
You know?
Build the experience.
I like snapping classy photos.
Stay classy. Indian Village, actual teepees. Did you see it? Probably not.
Probably not.
Semi just wrecked our view. It was rude.
Those aren't teepees.
Well, no, there were some. That was a canopy.
Yeah, it was a canopy.
A can of pee. How does that word work for you?
Speaking of which, my molars are floating, bro.
If you had a can of pee versus just...
I'm about to have a bottle of pee. Well, there might be a can of pee.
Just
I'm afraid that
TP and can of pee. Here, I'm gonna let you. Do you want to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, let's go to the bathroom. Are we gonna pause?
This is where we were. Wait,
I don't know.
They all look the same to us.
I'm gonna stop this one right here.
Are we gonna end this podcast?
I can end. Whatever. We want to keep going?
Yeah, I'll keep going.
All right.
You go, and then I'm gonna go. You go.
All right. Are you gonna talk while I'm in?
Yeah, I'll talk about some stuff. Watch what I talk about.
Talk about stuff. Oh boy. Unlock the doors, bro.
This is awesome. Jeez, born in the barn. So hopefully you're enjoying this hands-on podcast takeover with Knock on TV archery dork. That's really all I am. I'm a average person that likes MMA. But I like my MMA fighter friends that are also bow hunters. Jim, his brother, Pat, Chad Mendez, super cool dude. A lot of guys coming out. Guida's more of a fisherman. Then we've got Dillashaw, all those awesome dudes. And enjoy the friendship.
Crap.
How'd that feel? You're gonna have to go again in a little bit.
That was amazing.
This is gonna be like that bladder infection you got.
No, it wasn't that bad.
Which fight was that? Which fight was that?
That was when I fought Benson. Like that one, it was like sweating.
Tell everyone about it.
Yeah. I decided to hold some pee while getting on a plane while I was hyperhydrating, waterloading, and one thing led to another. Did an interview as I got on the plane, didn't go to the bathroom before I got on the plane, pulled away right when I got off the phone, and then we're sitting there and they're like, oh, 5 minutes, and next thing you know, 5 minutes adds up to like 45, and as soon as that bell rang, when we got up to 10,000 feet, I ran down to the back of the plane, this little, 1x2 plane going to Milwaukee, and let out like the most relieving pee I've ever had in my life. Unfortunately, it was a little too late, but I ended up reflexible urine and getting a kidney infection and whatever. It's old hat. But on the way up, I had to take a leak because I have the bladder of a child. Or maybe I just have overactive kidneys. I don't know what it is. Because when I go to the bathroom, sometimes it's like I have to pee, and it's only a little bit. And other times it's like I have to pee, and it's like a gallon. So I don't know if it's that I have a small bladder, or it's just that like my pain threshold when it comes to having to go to the bathroom is low. But on the way up, we're in the middle of nowhere, up past whatever heck lake that was, like we didn't see anybody on the road, so like I just pull off a little bit, stop the car, hop out, and basically peed in the middle of the road. and my Midwestern brother here was polite enough to turn on the hazards for nobody. Like I'm standing in the middle of the road taking a leak, and
well, 2 people had already noticed you, so I was like, you might cause an accident because someone's like, that's
we're on
like
a 3-mile straightaway, and there's a guy standing in the middle of the road peeing.
It would, for those of you who have ever driven across like South Dakota, it'd be like someone pulling over in Buffalo, South Dakota on the side of the road and then turning the hazards on. There was literally nothing but pine trees for as far as you could see. Dude, we totally missed all. Was it cloudy or something?
I don't know. We didn't notice these.
These mountains are amazing. Amazing. Super cool. Yeah, I feel like I'm going through, I don't know. It's like a Coors Light can. Are you a Coors person or are you
a Coors?
Are you Bush?
No, I don't.
Wait, you don't like Bush either.
I
bought you Bush.
I tease you. Listen, I am not picky, and I'll drink cold beer. I prefer, like, not beer that comes in a 30-pack. Like, I'm not a...
Hey, dude, if I'm going to Costco and say, is there any beer requests? And you're just like, if it's cold...
No, you asked me what I wanted to drink, and I said beer.
The only reason it was in a 30-pack is because it was from Costco.
It was Bush.
People love the Bush by me.
Listen, I drank it. I drank the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Normally, see, because I love beer, but I don't, like, I'll have, you know, a beer or two at dinner, and, you know, like if I'm doing something, like if I'm doing something outside or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't like, I have a beer, but I like typically more microbrews and stuff like that. Or
yeah, I mean,
even
that.
like
if I drink beer, it would be like something like a Moose Drool. Steiner Bock's really good. Something like that. Are you into that? I didn't know that. You could have said, hey, dude, get what you like. I'm not much of a beer drinker. Rarely drink beer. I like wine and hard stuff. I like getting on that hard. I like to get down with it. Although you taught me a new little trick. Caution, elk next 6K. What the heck? This place goes from bighorn sheep to elk warnings.
And there was a snail warning, right?
Yeah, what? There was a snail warning? Oh yeah, there was.
There was a snail. I think it was a cement mixer drum.
You taught me a secret about your little...
the gin and tonic?
Yeah, your gin and tonic recipe. You never made me a decent one. The only one I had was hot.
Yeah. And you spilled it all over the seat.
Not that seat, because that would have been while I was sitting when the car was inoperable.
That's true.
And it was parked at a campground.
Your pasture.
And we slept in the car because we didn't have our spike camp up yet.
Keys were gone.
And the keys...
I was driving.
The battery wasn't even in the car.
I don't think we had gas either.
There was no gas. And
the car was up on blocks.
Yeah. I actually didn't even put the gin in. I was like, kept my thumb on it.
No,
Like, look how much I'm putting in, dude.
It must be like...
yeah, that's more tonic.
Yeah.
It's all tonic.
For your Monster Energy. It's a little sticky. Yeah, so the gin and tonic, you put a cucumber peel in.
One cucumber peel?
Well, not one, but you like put two. Depends on how big your cucumber is. Like if it's long, you've got to
quit cranking your shaft and point it at me, dude. That's rude.
Like you just take a peel or two off of the cucumber.
Okay.
And you put that in the gin and tonic. It's got a different flavor to it. I can't take credit for it. It's my dad. That's how he has his gin and tonics, and he learned it from some, he had one of the bars some time years ago. But like, so my little play on it that I had been doing is,
it's how you peeled.
Yeah, you have to.
It's how you peel your cucumber.
Yeah, you have gentle hands,
and you twist.
Yeah,
as you go down.
You don't want to like braid it or anything like that. But I put a splash of grapefruit juice in there as well. You can use like if you get like grapefruit bitters or something like that too. You can use that. And just like
I told him, this is valid. Jim and I both are Traeger lovers. We love our Traeger grills. I got one and was gaga about it, and then I hooked Jim up with one, and I didn't really. You could hook yourself up with one, but I told you, man, smoked. If you put grapefruit juice in a tin flat and then just run it on the smoke setting for a couple hours, open it up every 20 minutes or so, stir it so that smoke just keeps getting on the surface, and then just let it cool off, and once it cools down, pour it back into that grapefruit container, and it makes unbelievable drinks when you have that little hint of smoke in the grapefruit juice. It's really, really, really good. It might actually sweeten it a little bit just because you do warm it up some.
Yeah.
And maybe just that little bit of heat breaks it down. But it's awesome. Awesomeness.
Yeah, I've been drinking too many gin and tonics lately. I only made a couple at
well,
camp, and I was like, I'm definitely, even though my dad gave me shit when I made him on the last podcast, he's like, what are you doing, the mother-in-law pour? I'm like, because apparently I wasn't pouring heavy enough for him. But I think I pour pretty heavy.
Nah, you pour like a sissy.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do. That's right.
Is that how they do?
I don't know. You're going to be pouring some here in a couple hours. We'll see how they work out.
Yeah.
That's, no, I was practicing something that I preach in hunting camp. Want to know what it is?
I don't know what it is.
I always really try to monitor how late I stay up when I'm hunting so that I actually get good sleep and I'm able to do full hunts. A lot of people get in the habit of like really trying to party it up, and it's one thing if you're totally tagged out, but I can tell you from experience that being successful on a hunt, your success rate really climbs when you're able to maximize all your time on the last days. When people are burnt out and they're shot because they're not getting good rest, or they've been partying a little too hard, or not eating properly, they just aren't able to get up on time. They're hungry, so they just say, well, we're not going to see anything tonight, let's just head back. Or I really want to go back for lunch. All that little stuff really starts to add up. Technically this morning, we got up early this morning.
Yeah.
We got up just after daylight, because typically the bears, when it's cold like this, they're not really moving till middle of the day when it's warm enough to where they're not exerting energy. But I kind of said we need to just maximize as much as we can, even though we went to bed fairly late. We did get up early, but there's a few times where your gin and tonics, I could hear you fumbling around out there. I was asleep before Jim every night.
It was only...
I don't want to seem like a Sally here, but
No.
I heard one night I heard you drop water or something. Then I heard you drop
twice.
an F-bomb right after that.
Yeah. Well, I went to fill up. We didn't have any ice cubes, so we were putting a little water. Dusty's the one who showed me to do it. Or he did it first. Put a little water in the Dixie cup and froze that, so then he had a little ice in his cup for mixed drink.
I like it.
So I went and I filled it up from the water jug, and I pulled the cup away, and I hit the spigot and spilled the cup of water. Fuck. So I filled it up again, pulled it away, hit the spigot, dropped it again, twice within like 5 seconds. And that was, yeah, I had 2 gin tonics in me. But we were getting back late too. We were getting back to the lodge at
Well, if you
10
hunt,
o'clock.
yeah, daylight till dark in Canada,
Yeah.
you're hunting 18 hours a day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
At least. I mean, it is nuts. But like this morning, we did get up early, and we went out, and I actually had a bear right in front of us at 100 yards, and I could have filled my second tag, I think.
Yeah, you could have.
But
Should have.
guess what I do?
He called, tried to help me out.
We freaking turn around, drive like crazy all over the mountain trying to find Jim so that Jim can get his tag filled. And the bottom line was, if I wouldn't have got my sleep, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't have been there to find that bear for Jim.
It's true.
But I did, because when the party was getting loud, I found my earplugs. Dusty said I was snoring like
Yeah.
he said he could hear it through the walls.
Yeah. My wall was, we shared a wall, dude. We shared a headboard. I heard you.
Oh, Dusty said you could hear in the kitchen. What does this guy do?
Well, that,
It's ripped over. Am I allowed to do that? Go over here.
whatever. I think he's pissed off because we got some truckers driving like,
Yeah, you know,
Evil
triples. Oh, wait.
yeah, we gotta get in there.
Ah! I didn't know I had to squeeze in that fast.
Yeah, neither did I.
But we made it. I'm right between a manure truck and
Yeah.
some other
Some other big rig.
big
So
rig.
we're gonna get sandwiched.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Well, the cool thing about traveling around with you is if anyone wants to flap their gums, they're going to get one of those perfectly placed shin bones to the lower part of the quad or the upper part of the hamstring.
I think you go. Like,
Can you
lower.
actually detach
lower
those
quad.
tendons if you hit it hard enough? Like, can
on
you?
the side there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never.
Jackass Mountain. It
They
said.
named it after.
Did you see what it said? It
Yeah.
said chain up. What did it say? Chain up, gents? And then it said Jackass
Yeah.
Mountain. Jeez,
Guess we're going down a hill.
this is awesome. Chain up, bitches. Yeah, we're definitely not chained up.
No. We're in a Volvo.
We're in a
Chain up.
Volvo. We don't need to chain up. This thing was born in the Swiss Alps.
All-wheel drive.
I don't
think.
It's not Swiss, though, is it?
I don't know. It's something.
It's foreign.
Yeah.
It's foreign masterpiece. We've got a lot of foreign followers,
Yeah.
UFC followers, and
Uh-huh.
archery. Archery's big in Europe. It's really cool. No stopping because it's an avalanche area. Did you see that?
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Don't stop, avalanche
Just
area.
let it rip.
Like, you better go. Oh, they're not wanting people to jake brake. Boom! Landslide. This is kind of crazy. This country's this severe.
And apparently, the road gets closed all the time.
Well, yeah, all the time.
All the time for either like
You have to go. There's
lumber
a
trucks
yeah.
dumping lumber on the road, or
If you ever fly into Vancouver and you're driving north into British Columbia, we'll give you a little tip that we learned as tourists. You have to go to a website. What's it called?
I think it's Drive BC.
Drive BC.
Yeah.
And geez, dude, Drive
Do not
BC.
pick up that shady
Yeah.
drifter.
Yeah, that guy. When people have no teeth and they have that big frowny thing, did you see that? You're like, that's what he looked like. Didn't look happy to get a to thumb a ride. But anyway, you have to look. You need to go on that website and it'll
Gas,
give you
grass, or ass, bro.
yeah, it'll give you updates on whether or not your travel route's closed, and it'll give you alternatives or possible how long it takes to close. Jeez, we're now down to 5 miles an hour behind the semi. So yeah, we were coming on this Highway 1, which is literally a double lane road that goes north and south through BC, and there was a bad accident. They closed the road so that they can do a whole like accident investigation type scene. And
Thanks, Banks.
thank you, sir. And
The old toot toot.
gave him the toot toot. And yeah, we found out that we could either take an alternative route around, which was about an extra 3 hours.
Yeah,
Backtrack, Jackass Mountain Summit. Backtrack, or
wait it out.
we literally waited it out.
We rolled the dice, we gambled,
And we came out about 2 hours ahead by waiting 2 hours. And we actually met a really nice couple from Australia.
Yeah.
That these people, well,
They were driving.
they were driving a rented RV, and she was really nice. Kind of like, she reminded me of like the perfect little grandma. She had like 31 days of every single stop. Every stop was plotted out on a map, not an iPhone. She had the map and had the highlighter route, little pencil marks, knew every single day where they were going, what they were seeing. And we almost, we thought the road was going to be closed so long, we almost like
turned around.
God, that was a cool waterfall. Yeah, we almost turned around and went back and just should have like set up that RV and drank a bottle of Yellowtail with the Australians. But we didn't.
We didn't. We waited it out.
Waited it out. Traffic got moving.
The best was the guy that was like at the stop. He's like, oh yeah, it's closed up ahead. It was closed like, what, 40 kilometers up the road? Something like that?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, when's it going to reopen? Between like 4 and 6-ish, something. He was very happy to give us no information.
Yeah. It
was,
they sent him like 2 hours down the road from the traffic to stop people and say, just so you know, there's an accident out there.
Yeah.
And I said, well, so is it closed? Well, it's supposed to reopen. Okay, is there a different route we could take?
Well,
I don't really know. You could look at the website. Okay, well, when's it supposed to reopen? Sometime
here or there.
It's like, wow, okay. But the website was good.
Well, yeah.
What do we got? We're getting close, and I'm gonna have to dive in. What do you got over there for?
I got some hot buffalo wing pretzels.
These sound disgusting, but I'm gonna try them. They are?
Yeah, they're amazing.
Okay, well,
They're really greasy though.
if we do that, we can't be podcasting because the people with this major microphone down by our arm is going to hear the loudest crunching, crackling.
Inappropriate.
It'll be totally inappropriate. So, thanks everybody. Well, it's your podcast.
It is my podcast.
Damn, sorry.
So, thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Handsome Podcast. No. That's pretty much what I do. Like, my sign off is like, hey guys, go fuck yourself, San Diego.
That's your sign off?
No. Yep. Catch us again the next time we're on. Thank you very much for tuning in.
You got all nice at the end.
I did. That's what I try to do. I try to have like a sultry, sexy voice, to like calm them down.
Like a sweet, savory piece of food.
Yeah.
Where you taste, you're like, oh
it's like,
man,
oh, this is intense. But then it's like, ooh, that was kind of weird. And then things just gotta get like a.
But then the finish is so smooth that you're like, man,
it's like
I've got to tune in next time.
It's like a super sour like atomic warhead with like a piece of like eel sushi in it,
Oh my god!
and then like a caramel in the middle. So it's like, whoa, this is weird, coming at me real hot, and then it's like, oh god, that's kind of I didn't really want that, and then these kind of just smooth out.
If I ever had one of that,
finish.
I would never have another one.
All right, guys, we'll catch you later.
Just wait for the caramel
Wait for the caramel
at the very
There
end.
you go. Tune in next time.
Tune in next
Yeah,
time.
bye-bye.